Business Development Company Comparative Analysis. Hello, my name is Richard Kim, and this is my PowerPoint presentation for CSIT 110 Computer Applications. In this presentation, I will provide a comparative analysis of three business development companies: BBDC, which is bearings, FSK, which is affiliated with KKR, and GSBD, Goldman Sachs BDC. And the primary question that I'm looking into is which one of these stocks is the best investment. All three companies are business development companies, which means that they are private bankers and they provide loans to small and mid-sized businesses, but they also provide business consulting services to their partner businesses. In addition to looking at their financial performance, their revenues and net income, I'll also look at the correlation between interest rates versus these companies' interest income. And I will also provide the insights generated from AI. The first finding refers to net income. In 2022, all three companies had a significant decrease in net income. In 2023, all three recovered. Bearings, BBDC, had the best improvement and stability in 2022, 2023, and 2024. FSK never recovered, and Goldman Sachs recovered in 2023 but decreased in 2024. So based on net income, Bearings, BBDC, is the top performer. And this is a zoom in of that chart. On the x-axis, I provide the dates, which is a 4-year period from 2021 to 2024. And in the y-axis is the net income, and it's normalized for the year 2021 to a base of 100 so that we can compare each of these three companies objectively by the same standard. Pink is Bearings, the blue is FSK, and Goldman Sachs is in green. So we see all three dropped in 2022, recovered in 2023 and 2024. FSK in blue never fully recovered. Goldman Sachs recovered in 2023, but then they had a drop in 2024. So BBDC, Bearings, in pink is the top performer based on net income. The next thing I looked at is the correlation between interest rates and net interest income. So all three of these companies, their primary core business is to serve as a bank, but specifically a private bank, and their clients are only small and mid-sized businesses, not individuals. So they do a great deal of work in due diligence and vetting the companies, but once they provide the loan, they also provide consulting services. So their primary business relates to the interest rates. And also their income is highly affected by interest rates. So during this period, there was a large swing in interest rates from a low in 2021 of almost 0% to a high of over 5% in 2023. So this was a good chance to see what impact interest rates have on these companies. And based on a statistical analysis, there is in fact a positive correlation, moderately strong, between the interest rates and the net interest income. So the net interest income is the income of the core business. So when the interest rates go up, the net interest income tends to go up. This makes sense. And this is a zoom in of the diagram. On the x-axis is the interest rate, and on the y-axis is the net interest income, again normalized to a base 100. And it actually kind of fits a line pretty good, and it makes sense intuitively. Now, the core business of these companies is actually private lending. However, they also engage in non-core businesses. The problem is the non-core businesses, which are not directly related to lending, can be negative. It frequently is negative and brings down the overall business. So revenue for these companies have two components. They have a net interest income, which is a core business, and then they have a non-interest income, which is the non-core business. And for example, in 2022, in red, which is the non-interest income, FSK had a large negative component. So it's good to break down these two components into truly understanding the company and the risks. And overall, we'll see here that BBDC is also a top performer, and FSK is the least stable performer. So in this slide here, I present a snapshot of all 4 years. So in the left upper corner is 2021. On the right upper corner is 2022. Then we have 2023 and 2024. So we can look at each year in the progression. So in 2021, this is when the interest rates were low. And so we see that for BBDC, Barings, and FSK, the net interest income and the non-interest income are both positive. Goldman Sachs had a negative non-interest income. So 2021 was a good year for FSK. But then if you look at 2022, all of them have a red negative non-interest income, but FSK flips in a huge direction. And then as we look in the subsequent years, we see that the interest income, the core business, is actually going pretty good. But for FSK and Goldman Sachs, they're bringing the company down. Barings, as we see here in 2023 and 2024, has been able to manage a small negative non-interest income. So they're managed well in terms of they have a positive interest income. They have a small non-core negative, and it's stable. So not only does Barings have the overall best performance, they're also managed in a way that they are the most stable. So one of the mysteries that I had was, going back to the previous slide, what happened between 2021 and 2022 with the flip, with this huge change in the non-interest income, the red bar. So it goes from green to red. It was a mystery to me. I was just like, okay. But this is a situation where it does help to have other eyes, and AI provided some insight. And AI solved this mystery. It actually linked the income drop to the rate increase. So while in general these companies do better in a high interest rate environment, like 4 or 5%, they have good profit margins. However, the change in the interest rates was the correlation that caused a large drop in the non-interest income. So basically, the correlation with interest-related income is positive, but the correlation with the non-core income was negative. I did not see it, so this was an example where it did help to run the data through artificial intelligence. So in conclusion, Barings, BBDC, is the best investment. It's worth a look. It's the top performer. It's the best managed. FSK and Goldman Sachs both are underperformers, and they have volatility. The interest rates are a major factor for these companies, more than other companies. They are banks, but the interest rates also affect not only their core interest income, but also their non-core, non-interest related income. So interest rates are when in analyzing these companies, they have a relatively simple structure. So interest rates are a major issue when looking into whether you want to invest into these companies. So you want to look at who's the top performer in these companies, but also you want to look at the interest rate environment, whether the interest rates are going up or going down, how fast, and how large are they. So this was so bottom line, keep an eye on the interest rates, and Barings, BBDC, is the company to look into. And so if you have any questions or comments or want to have a discussion, please contact me.